Is the meat you're eating actually meat? Those are the questions we should be asking ourselves, folks, and should be more asking as time is going on, because we know that lab grown meats, we know that cloning, the synthetic meat substitute that they're trying to shove down our throats. You know how they tried to push off the Bill Gates Beyond Beef fad that completely top-sided, that completely fell apart, that nobody is buying. But now it seems like they're trying to do anything they can to push this forward into the grocery store shelves and into your homes. So here is Mario Zelia going to tell us that the Canadian government, there's a new article out from the National Post of the Canadian government trying to push cloned meat or lab synthetic meat into the grocery stores, and they're purposely misleading customers in purchasing what is meat and what isn't meat. So take a listen to this.
This is a message for the Government of Canada, and I'm going to say this in the most respectful way possible, but we need full transparency on our food. You see, soon it's going to be harder, if not impossible, for us to know if we're eating cloned meat. And whether you're receptive to the technology or not, it's going to happen. That makes many Canadians uncomfortable. How is it that we can live in a world where we disclose when something contains nuts, or whether something is organic or not? Disclose artificial flavoring but not artificial life? We clearly label things as the product of USA, but not the product of cloning. I encourage every Canadian to read that article that I just showed you. It's real. You see, according to Health Canada's policy update, they decided that there should be no difference between the regulation of cloned and conventional meat products. And this has nothing to do with the science. And sure, maybe people out there will be okay with it eventually, and maybe they are today. But the problem is, Canadians need transparency today and always.
So the Canadian government, along with the Canadian Health, is trying to push this meat substitute onto the grocery store shelves by misleading Canadians. They're not telling you and not being transparent when you're purchasing beef and chicken and pork and other meats and stuff. They're not telling you where this meat actually came from. And as he said there, they could slap a made in the USA sticker, but it's actually coming from a United States laboratory and not from a United States farmer. The same way they can do for Canadian, the same they can do for anything. Even I would argue about the organic. They don't really tell you how organic something is when they can just slap it on anything if it sounds like it's natural for you or natural flavoring or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of misleading claims in purchasing food. That's why people have to be aware. That's why you have to be a conscious consumer, as they would say. So he said to check out the article for ourselves. So here it is here from the National Post. Cloned meat is quietly getting closer to being sold in Canada, but people may not know they're buying it. Cloned or not, it could soon get harder, if not impossible, to tell from looking at the package. And that is intentional. That is intentional. That is trying to sway people into purchasing lab synthetic instead of actual meat. They're purposely trying to sway people's perception that when they're purchasing beef at the grocery store, they think they're getting meat, but they're actually getting the lab synthetic, to the point that everything's going to be lab synthetic. They're purposely doing this. Purposely doing this. So it says clone meat could be coming to a grocery store near you. Whether you're a recipient to the technology, whether you're receptive to the technology or not, you may be none the wiser from looking at the package. Health Canada has made moves to lift restrictions on meat cloned cattle and pigs, no longer considering it a novel food, meaning it could be commercialized without notification or labeling. Health Canada, the people that are supposed to be in charge of your health. The same people that lied to you about COVID. the same people have lied to you about the ostriches. Now they're lifting restrictions on synthetic meat. How long till we no longer recognize Health Canada as a health advisory board? How long till we drop the health portion of this group, of this national agency? Because clearly it's not for health. Novel foods are products that are new or changed compared to existing foods, such as the first Health Canada approved genetically modified animal, and now defunct. So they stopped the genetically modified salmon, but they're okay with lab synthetic meats. Interesting. When it hit shelves in the late 2010s with no special labeling required. Health Canada assesses the safety of all novel foods before they can be brought to market based on the scientific options published by international bodies, including the European Food Safety Authority and Japan Food Safety Commission. The department concluded that foods derived from healthy cattle and swine clones and their offspring are as safe as foods from traditional bred animals. According to Health Canada's policy update, the Department Food Doctorate decided that there should be no difference between the regulation of cloned and conventional meat products. Food derived from clones of other animals, such as goat and sheep, however, are still considered novel foods. Wait a second. So you're telling me that it's okay to clone beef and chicken, which are two of the biggest consumed animals on planet Earth, beef and chicken. It's okay to have synthetic lab-grown meats like that, but it wasn't okay to sell not genetically modified salmon, nor goat or sheep. Why? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? What's the scientific analysis that you can't sell cloned meat or sheep? How is that? How is that possible? How is that possible? That it goes one way but not the other way. It's crazy. As the Winnipeg Sun reports, Health Canada's 2024 consultation on foods derived from cloned cattle and swine involved feedback from scientists, food policy organizations, and agricultural representatives. Fewer than 1,200 individuals and organizations were directly notified, and the results were not widely publicized. According to the Sylvanian Charbois, director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University, the problem isn't the science, it's the silence. Charbois wrote in the Agri-Food Analytics Lab newsletter, Canadians are not being told that the rules governing a deep controversial technology are about to change. No press release, no public statement, just a quiet update on government website most citizens will never read. Again, lack of transparency. And it seems to be that only we know about this. We, as in this channel and Mario Zelia and very few other people, have looked into this. But it's going to happen to everybody. It's coming to a grocery store near you. It's going to come to a steakhouse near you because they're going to enforce this down people's throats no matter what it takes. And that's why they're not being transparent. That's why they're mislabeling these products so that consumers get confused and buy synthetic meat, not actual meat. And they're going to push and push for more people to buy the synthetics. Because, the science. Since the days of Dolly the sheep, the first mammal to be cloned using an adult cell in 1996, the technology has been highly conscientious. There are ethical issues, including animal welfare, and similar to cultured meat, there's an ick factor to food from cloned animals. The United States Food and Drug Administration determined that meat from cloned cows, goats, and pigs is safe to eat in January of 2008. 3 years later, a study published in Appetite found that consumers considered from animal cloning unnatural and were concerned that it would pave the way to human cloning. So, that's a lot to take in, folks, that This has been going on for quite some time, and you're not really getting any information about this. And it's happening all around the world, actually. So, happening in Canada, happening in the United States. Here's in Europe. Here's the European nation. So, European company Mosa Meat will soon be cultivating meat to the market. This technology will be revolutionary, giving you meat without needing to kill a cow. Yes, real meat. It will be fully identical to the one from a cow. Same taste, same nutrition. That's exactly the same marketing they use for Beyond Meat. The same exact marketing. Oh, it tastes exactly like meat. We can make burgers out of it. Just if you don't mind the chemicals used for it are the same compounds made to use rubber tires or yoga mats. As long as you're allowed to swallow that, then there should be no problem, right? No problem then compared to beef, which just comes from beef. It comes from animals. It comes from the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that came from the cow. Again, tell me again how this is for health and science. And yes, I understand that you're not killing a cow. You're not killing more animals necessary for, the consumption of beef. That's great. That's great. That sounds like a good idea. That sounds good. But what if they actually just killed the cow anyway? And they're killing the cow purposely to, again, sway consumers away from actual organic beef production and farmers and cattle herders and whatnot to go to force them in the direction of synthetics. Because that's what's happening, folks. Here's in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, governments are forcing farmers to add government-approved chemicals to cattle feed, all in the name of reducing cow emissions. So the Nordic governments, the Nordic Netherlands governments are forcing cattle farmers to feed synthetics, these chemicals, to the cow feed because they're worried that the cows are farting too much. And what chemicals are in here are actually more harmful to consume than the emissions coming from cows. Way more harmful. Says the result, sick cows, dead livestock, and poisoned food. So, again, their mission to say that, hey, we're not going to kill a cow for beef consumption, that's great. So we're going to do all this synthetic lab meat. Well, guess what? They're going to kill the cow anyway. So try to square that up. Try to square that up. That you're making a win to say that no longer are we going to slaughter animals for consumption of food. At the same time, you're going to chemically induce and kill them anyway to force people into synthetic consumption. This is sinister. This is sinister. How crazy this is. A Danish farmer using the chemical Bovier watched as his cows fell ill. One even died. Now imagine what this does to your milk, your cheese, your steak, the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth. The most nutrient, organic, healthy foods on Earth are being poisoned. Are being poisoned by the governments in these Nordic countries. As they're telling you that they're trying to limit the emission of cow farts and saying that killing innocent animals is not right. How absurd this is. How absurd all this is. That they're purposely targeting farmers, again, for the benefit of the billionaire class. Because people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and elsewhere have huge amounts of investment in this fake substance laboratory meat. This fake meat. And they want to maximize the capabilities so that consumers are forced to be in their realm instead of actually purchasing organic, real food from real farmers. That's what all this is. That's what all this is. Not for health. It's not for science. Definitely not for climate. It's all for the billionaire class to screw us over again because they want you to eat synthetics. They want you to eat bugs. They want you to not have organic substances in your body. They want to chemically induce you to make you sicker, weaker, and iller as they thrive on, because they're not giving up their meat. I can tell you for a fact, Bill Gates is never going to take a bite out of his own concoction, his Beyond Beef. I can tell you for a fact, he's never going to. But he's going to force you to. He's going to force you, the peasant, to swallow down this garbage. So here is a person here going to explain what's happening in the Netherlands countries, the Nordic countries, on how their government is forcibly killing the cows anyway, as they're bragging that this synthetic lab-grown meat is going to reduce the killing. Go figure. So here's this.
In Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, they are forcing our farmers to put chemicals into the food of the cows so they will fart less and burp less. Reduce the CO2. Here we have a Danish farmer that was using this chemical and his cows started getting sick. And one of his cows actually died as well. So imagine what this does to the milk and the steaks, the most nutritious food we have. Listen to this.
Jeg har haft 2 tilfælde, siden vi startede, som det fik rigtig stor mavekrampe. Vi har haft dyrelyde.
So, sorry, I didn't realize it was going to be in, let me go back a bit so I can read the...
Milk and the steaks, the most nutritious food we have. Listen to this.
Jeg har haft 2 tilfælde, siden vi startede.
So, the farmer above here says, then we've had 2 cases since we started that
Som
way.
det fik rigtig stor
We
mavekrampe.
got really bad
Vi har haft
stomach
dyrelyde
cramps.
søndag
We had
aften
a vet
og
on Sunday evening
behandle den ko.
and treat
Men den
that
ko
cow,
kunne
but
desværre ikke
unfortunately,
redde.
he
Hun
couldn't save
døde
that
sidst
cow.
næste
She
dag.
died the next
So
day.
he's saying that
So again, this idea that we're saving animals by going to synthetics is complete crap, because the same people pushing it is the same people that's inducing these chemical poisons into organic livestock to mass kill them. This is inhumane. This is psychopathic, if you will. And what, the saying goes, once you control the food supply, you control everybody. You control society. And that's what people like Bill Gates, that's what Warren Buffett, the WEF, Klaus Schwab, and all those freaks, that's what they want. They want to control the population. And the best way to do that is control the food. Because people need food, people need nourishment, they need water, they need the essentials of life. And when you take control of it, you control everybody, every single person.
his cow died after using this government-approved chemical. There's so many ways they're already poisoning us, but this is the last straw. We're talking about the steak. We're talking about the cow. This is the holy grail of nutrition, okay, guys? We cannot let this happen. In Norway, we almost have 40,000 people who signed a petition against Bovaer, but we're still not enough people. We need more Norwegians to wake up, or else I'm just gonna start my own farm and raise my own cattle and just become a cowboy, okay?
So this is happening all across the world. It's happening all across the world. This is globalization. This is your WEF, New World Order stuff. And even you just saw there, the FDA and the Trump administration's even approving this. So to think that Trump was going against globalism, to think that, Donald Trump was going to pick a fight with Klaus Schwab and George Soros and that, well, Scott Bessent, his commerce secretary, came from George Soros. Go figure. And the same person that says he's going to fight against the deep state is actually sidestepping with the deep state. Go figure. So it's almost like Trump was purposely intact, and the reason that he became president was to be part of the deep state. The same way Mark Carney got selected to be prime minister of this country. It's all about this cabal of sinister MFers at the top. It's not about you. It's never about you. You are the peasants that have to kiss the ring of this heinous, grotesque cartel. And people are not taking this anymore because the truth has been revealed. More information is coming out, and people like me are willing to speak out against how horrific these measures are. And here, this is from Camus, says the U.S. FDA has approved lab-grown chicken, beef, and salmon. These lab-made meats are often created from immortal human cancer cell lines that just keep growing. Buy your chickens whole and get your meat from a butcher where you can wrap it and cut it up. So you want to see just how crazy this lab-grown meat, you can already see in the picture here, but take a look at this. Take a look at how they manufacture. Gotta pause that because it's music copyright. So these are all synthetic chemicals. Look at that. They're 3D printing that steak. And these are all chemicals. These are all synthetics that is used in other products. And now they're using it for food. Like I said, Beyond Beef is the worst of the worst when it comes to meat. And if you read the ingredients, if you read how it's made, it should make you barf. It should make you feel sick to your stomach to even look at the product. There's chemicals you can't even pronounce. There's chemicals that do dangerous stuff. There's carcinogens that go into your body when you consume Beyond Beef. And now they want you to swallow it. Now they want you to just say, hey, you're going to pick out the meat anyway. So it's going to be genetically modified. And you don't have a choice. And here, this is from the Children's Health Defense. This article here, it says, lab-grown meats, dirty secrets. No oversight. Rampant bacteria. So people are actually getting more sicker off of this lab-grown synthetic meat than they are with actual real meat. Because they make the argument about salmonella when it comes to raw chicken. Oh, well, people get sick off of, eating raw chicken when it's organic, but when you get the synthetic stuff, you won't get the salmonella. Well, guess what? People are actually getting sicker off the lab-grown meat than they would actual meat. There's an interview with Catherine Austin Fitz, Dutch investigative journalist Eliz van Hamelin. Is that how you say it? Hamelin? I don't know how you pronounce that. Reveals the hidden agenda behind the tsunami of fake foods being rolled out by the biotech industry. That should alarm you there. The biotech industry. The people that make pharmaceuticals for you. The same people that make Roundup for Monsanto. The same people making synthetic chemicals disguised as medicine, disguised as fertilizer, disguised as the worst, just doing the absolute damage. Biological warfare is also going to be responsible for producing meat for our grocery stores, for steakhouses, for restaurants. Do you think that's beneficial? You think that's healthy? You think that's safe? That a biotech industry is going to act as a farmer, act as an agriculturalist, tell the generational farmer that's been doing this for centuries that your farm has to be closed up in order to produce this garbage? Do you think people are going to take this? No. And that's why people are being alarmed by this. That's why Mario Zelia is pointing this out. That's why I'm pointing this out. Because they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you. They're trying to force this upon you. That's why there's lack of transparency. That's why they're misleading you. That's why all this is happening. But people that are farmers, that have grown with generational farms, that have, been around for centuries, one of the oldest occupations on the face of the earth, are about to lose everything because they are highly regulated. The governments are purposely trying to demonize them, so they close up the farms and allow for this garbage that is potentially lethal to you. This is not safe. This is not safe to consume whatsoever. No matter how much they try to cherry pick it and dress it up, doesn't matter. This is insane. Synthetics. They're going to synthetically grow meat and shove it down your throats and not tell you it's synthetically grown. That's crazy. That's psychotic, that's psychopathic, it's very much criminal. But they're just going to do it anyway because it's for your health, it's for your safety. You know, the things that they told us about COVID, and that's why you had to be locked down. That's why you couldn't visit friends and family. That's why kids had to be held back from school and they lost so much education. Why suicide rates and so forth was skyrocketing. You know, for your health, for your safety. As they're doing this crap. Unbelievable.